how did that come about?
Yeah, well, I was doing like e-commerce, 2010, 11,
Yeah.
12. And I used to think that having a bank account was like a human right or something along those lines. One of my online businesses suddenly lost. I mean, we had a merchant services account and we were able to process credit card payments. I basically got canceled like in late 2012.
Like politically?
No, no, no. I was building websites. I was doing SEO, and then I would plug into the back end of manufacturers who would sell products like garden seeds, for example.
Hmm.
And so people could purchase these products on my website. The order would go to the back end manufacturer, who would then drop ship, and I would take a small margin. And then one day, the bank they accused me of selling dildos, and I said,
Were you?
"No, I wasn't. Maybe I should
Okay.
have been."
I mean, nothing wrong with
No,
dildos.
that's what I said. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that, but it was one of the big banks who famously, laundered $62 billion of Mexican cartel money. And
Yeah.
I said, wait a minute, what do you mean this is hurting your reputation?
Yeah.
And
So yeah, I'm guessing when you work for the cartels, you have to really keep up the appearances of, being approved.
it was unbelievable. They fixed the Libor rate. I mean, it was unbelievable some of the things that were going on. And I was just a very small merchant. My money was frozen for 9 months.
Jeez.
I had to get my dad to like Western Union me money so I could buy groceries. Anyway, in the end, they acknowledged that I had done nothing wrong. They still sort of contended that I was hurting the reputation, even though I wasn't actually selling any sex toys. And even if I was, so what?
Yeah.
But in the midst of that, I started panicking, trying to find alternatives, and
Mhm.
that's I realized like PayPal and some of these other things weren't really a great solution. And I
Yeah.
stumbled into Bitcoin, very quickly became obsessed, and just dropped everything. And that was kind of the beginning of the journey. I started going to Bitcoin conferences. So, for example, 2014, Bitcoin in Amsterdam.
Hmm.
A gentleman named Patrick Byrne, who was the CEO of Overstock, was the main speaker there. I met lots of wonderful people and realized that this thing had tremendous momentum. Shortly after that, I went to New York City and I started volunteering at a place called the Bitcoin Center.
Oh man, I saw that place in that one documentary.
That's right, banking on
Yeah.
Bitcoin. That's right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
There's Vitalik, who's at the time still like just an author, at the Bitcoin magazine.
That's
He's
right.
like 12 years old.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big CNN piece that really brought that place to the mainstream by a guy named Morgan Spurlock, who recently
Mhm.
passed away. Actually, he was the guy that ate McDonald's for every day for like a month, and he did a big piece. And suddenly, the Bitcoin Center and Bitcoin entered into the mainstream.
Mhm.
I was very fortunate. I got to meet lots of interesting people: Brian Armstrong, Jesse Powell from
Oh, wow,
Kraken,
nice.
and others. I met a guy named Joe Lubin, who later I worked for
Oh, yeah.
6 years. That's where I discovered Ethereum, just going to BitDev meetups in New York City. And then I was very fortunate. I started working at Consensus shortly after. I think I was one of the first employees.
No, those must have been the times.
Well, it was a very interesting time. Lots of youthful optimism. Obviously, Ethereum was very exciting at the time. Consensus was sort of, let's say, one of the core. I mean, basically, Joe was financing Ethereum development. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. He put his money where his mouth is. Financing Consensus. Consensus started building lots of core infrastructure, developer tools. We built things like MetaMask.
Oh, yeah.
Later, things like Infura, etc. And then I helped basically kickstart our global enterprise business. So we signed a partnership agreement, a global partnership agreement with Microsoft in the fall of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Later, we built something called the Enterprise. We helped build something called the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance. And so I spent a number of years basically all over the world trying to promote Ethereum with many of these large institutions. I guess we were successful to some extent. Lots and lots of really interesting meetings back in those days, thinking about how smart contracts can potentially reorganize many of these big institutions. And then of course, really later became even more focused on the product development side of it. I spent some time focused on something called Uport and self-sovereign identity, thinking about ways in which Ethereum can help enable the sovereign individual to have not only custody of their assets, but custody over their identity. Later, at the end of 2020, I left. I mean, my time, like all good things, they come to an end. In the meantime, though, right around 2016, 17, I started coming to Belgrade
Mm-hmm.
because there was a researcher, a guy, an obscure guy on Twitter named Mihailo Bjelic, who was saying some really remarkable things about how to scale Ethereum,
Mm-hmm.
thinking about basically multiple scaling solutions in one network, or one, basically what became L2. The original Polygon concept was called Neth,
Mm-hmm.
the proto Polygon. So I would come here all the time, work with Mihailo. Very, very, very hardworking guy, very diligent.
Oh man, excuse me for interrupting you. Did I tell you that Mihailo went through my startup accelerator here in this space?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I mean, that was a startup before Polygon,
Right.
and I'm happy that we were not that bad that we sort of diverted him from entrepreneurship. So yeah, that was pretty awesome to see him go on to great success, afterwards.
Well, but the thing is, many, many years of grinding, like 2016, 17, 18, 19. I mean, he was just very persistent. And then he sort of decided that it would be difficult for him to take the project forward on his own. So he found these Matic guys, and together they formed a partnership. I was very fortunate to be maybe one of the early investors, one of the early advisors. We had a pretty crazy couple of years, and then I moved on and started focusing on basically my investing, my angel activities.